Yes, well, she has Alzheimer's. She has been poorly with it for 10 years. Um, she was a very intelligent, highly intelligent woman, first class honours degree, and she was the marketing director of Sir Alexander Gibbs Civil Engineering. She travelled all over the world on her own, and brilliant and very good at what she did. But this started about 10 years ago, and it just progressively got worse and worse and worse until it got to the point really where I was unable to cope on my own because I was doing day shift and night shift. You couldn't leave her on her own because she would actually go out of the house on her own and have an accident. She's fallen over several times and ended up covered in blood and coming back. So I had to keep the house locked when she was there, and I had to be there all the time or get somebody to be there. Um, so I decided then, in the end, because it was getting at me, to get a living carer. My son had a very good friend from the army days. Her husband was a major at the same time as my son, and she did that kind of work. She was well qualified. I think it's whatever they call it, stage one, stage two. She was working in a care home near the top, so she has the qualifications of being a manager if she wanted to. But she decided then she would actually come and live with us, but it was only 5 days a week. So she had to go home on Friday evenings, so I was still left the weekends having to manage it on my own. I also had to do the night shift. She only did the day shifts. So I was being woken up 4 or 5 times during the night to change her clothes, or trying to change her clothes, which you know anything about it yourself is a very, very difficult job because they may not want to do it. And it got very, very wearing. And she declined even, went down even further, to the point where we couldn't bath her, we couldn't get her out of the bath. I didn't have the equipment there. She didn't like showering, and it just got worse and worse until um, we just had to decide really that to put her in. So I put her into respite, and she started off first of all at Chiltern Court, which is very good. It's a modern place, and she was supposed to be there 2 weeks. She was only there just over a week, and I became so guilty and so lonely that I went and got her back out again, only to realise that I made a big mistake. And then we put her into, when it became very, very bad, we put her into another home in the area, which was incredibly bad. And after 2 weeks of ill treatment there, I got her out and came here because I'd already spoken to Thelma, who's kept us on her waiting list. And she luckily had a space, and so we put Brenda in here straight away. And that is over a year ago. Yeah. She's been treated so well here. It's brilliant. She's happy. Um, she she's put on weight. She's eating much better. She doesn't really know who I am anymore. She recognises me as somebody that she knows, but she doesn't know who I am. But when I come here, she's always pleasant. She's pleasant to everybody else, as was her nature in real life. And I come here. I used to come here every day, but I found that probably to be a little bit too much. So my children come and see her. I come and see her. So she has plenty of visitors, and I now come every other day, and I help her with her lunch and feed her some chocolate afterwards, and she goes to sleep, but she's now asleep downstairs, and that seems to be enough. But the care here is absolutely fantastic. I could not ask for it to be better. The staff are lovely. They are all very, very caring people. It's not a job, it's a way of life, and they don't do it for the money. They do it because they like doing it, and they get a reward from it. But they really are super people, the sort of people that go to heaven.
Reassure
Yeah,
somebody.
I think it pays to do very, very careful investigation of the potential care homes you're going to. But I think the best way of doing it really is to find a number of people who have relations or dependents here, and talk to them for a long time. and question them like you're questioning me, as to why they were there and how happy they are, and only on that basis could you really make a good judgment, because it is a very, very big decision to make, and you are playing with somebody's life. This is somebody, my wife, who both of us agreed a long, long time ago that we would always look after one another until we died, and I've not done that. I've let her down because I can't do it, because I am myself not very well, and I'm unable to look after her as I promised I would do. But she was such a proud individual. It is very hard to put into words, but the things that have to be done for her now, she would be horrified, but they do it so well here. You know, she's treated with such care and love and kindness that, you know, I think that people need to talk to people like me and to Alan, and say, you know, why is your wife there? Are you happy? And yes, and talk to these people and find out. But some care homes are awful. Some are not so awful. But this one, there's no doubt about it, it's first class. And we found out quite a lot about care homes because, as he was saying earlier on, we both belong to something called Dementia Cafe. And we meet the first Thursday of every month, and lots of people who are carers, we all sit down and have cake and tea together, and we talk about our problems. And this was run by a lady who was an Admiral nurse, and she was very, very, very good. And she brought all these people together, and you can get a lot of information and a lot of experience from these people, and a very great help to one another.